All right, so the United States is planning to close its consulate in Winnipeg. And what do I have to say about that? Well, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Now, I know it's easy for me to say because I'm not in Winnipeg and I'm not a business in Winnipeg that needs permits for like United States stuff. And I also don't need to use any of the services that the consulate would offer. But we're in strange times right now, and let's not forget that ICE and HSI are working in the consulates in Canada. And from this article from February earlier this year, ICE has offices in Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary, Montreal, and Ottawa. Now, they don't list Winnipeg, but, do we trust the United States? Like I said, we're kind of in strange times right now with our next door neighbor. And I don't trust any government agency or agents on our Canadian soil. But I kind of want to show another report that's somewhat related, and this one was posted on our Discord server by Tim C. And Canada is launching a Foreign Influence Registry under the new commissioner. And if you ask me, it's a step in the right direction, because we know there's foreign influences that are interfering with our Canadian way of life, I guess. And for now, there's going to be a bunch of fines if anyone is caught doing this. I think also jail time, maybe. But it's a step in the right direction, if you ask me. So I'm going to talk about these two topics in this video. And before I get started, a thanks again to everybody who has been subscribing to my Substack. I had a wave of people subscribe to my Substack yesterday, and I guess everybody liked my article on the Sault Ste. Marie video that I did. And I also noticed that everyone liked that I was a little bit spicier that last video. I kind of had a bad day at work yesterday, and I guess I kind of funneled that anger towards Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. I mean, yeah, look at my title. I don't usually swear in my titles, but yeah, I guess that's what it is. So thank you to everybody who has subscribed to my Substack. And a special thanks to all the paid subscribers as well. And last but not least, a thanks to everybody who has been supporting my Buy Me a Coffee page. I appreciate everybody supporting the work that I do. Alright, let's get into the first report talking about the US Consulate closing in Winnipeg.
The United States is a key destination for Manitoba's pork exports, over $360 million in 2024, in part with the help from the US Consulate in Winnipeg. The U.S. State Department notified Congress it plans to close 5 foreign missions, including its only posting between Calgary and Toronto. The latest Winnipeg consulate opened its doors in 2001, its main role around facilitating trade relationships. Now that could be gone.
Now, from what I read, the consulate in Winnipeg isn't a full-fledged consulate. I don't think they handle like passport stuffs or verification or anything like that, or anything civil, I guess. But apparently, it's mainly there for trade. Which we know right now, trade between Canada and the United States, it's like trying to do trade with a toddler and a bunch of thugs. So is it really that big of a loss?
Hopefully, at the end of the day, it's not what happens.
André Bren is the CEO of the Winnipeg World Trade Center. He says the U.S. Consulate helps companies set up across the border, but Bren says the office has another role, to advocate for Manitoba's economy within the U.S.
That might be the biggest hole that's left if they leave, in the sense of, who's now informing the U.S. ambassador in Ottawa on what's going on here.
I'm pretty sure Pete Hoekstra has his cronies all across Canada that will tell him what's going on. But the way I see it, I mean, this is just my non-expert opinion on it. Trade between Canada and the United States, it's at a standstill. And it doesn't look like it's going to go anywhere. So, if it's not going to go anywhere, then why the hell should we have like a United States-run kiosk continue to run in Winnipeg? Sure, it might help like businesses open up in the United States and stuff, but there's a bigger problem going on here. And this might be me putting my tinfoil hat on, but what else is actually running in that consulate? The problem is that we just don't know.
That includes what the province can offer in industries like critical minerals. Political economic specialists worked for the U.S. Consulate for 20 years. He says looking out for trade possibilities and resolving issues was a role of the mission. Having a consulate close by was important.
A lot of geography, a lot of people, and a lot of issues that it's very hard to address from that distance. So I think it makes a lot of sense to have a consulate in the middle of the country.
Nah, I would just say just run a Zoom call. Because at least for me, it does make me feel a little uncomfortable that we have consulates all across the country, and we really don't know what they're doing in there. I kind of see it this way, and I'll kind of use this analogy. You have a friend or a former friend living in your house, and he's got access to everything in your house. And you're not on good terms with this friend. But this friend says that he's just going to stick around and like hang out. Except he's going through your drawers, your kitchen, your desk, your garage, everything else, and he's just kind of snooping around. That's kind of how I feel with these consulates right now. I know they might be providing some economic benefit on some level, but I just don't trust them.
The U.S. Consulate in Winnipeg offers emergency assistance to Americans, but it doesn't process visa application or issue passports. A professor says any disruption will be a bigger loss for the U.S.
It's eyes and ears of Americans for, about what's going on here. The Americans will still get this information, most likely, but it's going to be from someone in Washington now, so it's not going to be as accurate.
The U.S. Department of State says it's trying to streamline operations. In the event of a closure, the office's responsibilities will be taken over by Ottawa. Brand says this serves as a reminder.
That we can't rely just on the U.S., so I think we should be looking at other countries that don't have consuls here.
He hopes the decision can be reversed in favor of trade on both sides of the border.
That last guy is right. We can't just rely on the United States. But the guy before that from the university, he's also right as well. That the consulate serves as eyes and ears for the United States. And on that part there, I'm not comfortable with them here. Especially in these weird times. Now, I'm sure there's an economic side of this that I'm not understanding and I don't have the knowledge for. And I'm actually hoping the Bill Kelly podcast does a video on this. But on the relationship side and having their offices in Canada, can you remove the Vancouver one as well too? Just asking. Now, moving on to a somewhat related topic, depending on how you look at it. Canada has now created a Foreign Influence Registry, which is supposed to reveal when people or organizations are working with foreign governments to influence our Canadian politics and way of life. Now, according to this report, it's not illegal, but every Canadian has a right to know who's behind it. So let's get started with this report from CBC.
Key parts of a federal law to counter foreign interference are going into effect today. 2 years ago, the government passed legislation that gave new powers to Canadian security agencies. It also created a new watchdog and public registry. But the man in charge of that says his focus will be foreign influence, not interference.
The office hasn't been set up to address interference writ large. It's really about transparency and public disclosure of influence activity.
Now, I would much rather see action on interference, but I guess influence is a start. But we definitely know that the interference is happening in our country. I mean, this article right here, we know Hoekstra wasn't just having a friendly barbecue with all of the right-wing media and the Freedom Convoy leader, Tamara Lich. I mean, if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a fucking duck. But if Anton Bogman is only focusing on influence activity, maybe I guess that's a start. Maybe he can do something about all those fake YouTube accounts that are like hiring actors that are like spreading the news of the separation stuff. Maybe do something about that.
For more on this Foreign Influence Registry, Megan Fitzpatrick joins me in Ottawa. Megan, good to have you on this. So what more can you tell us about the new registry and, of course, who needs to be registered?
Yeah, so really this is all about transparency and raising awareness in the Canadian public about what are considered foreign influence activities. So these activities, many of them are legal. They fall under sort of traditional diplomatic relations type activities. But there are also activities that are considered to be kind of crossing the line in terms of their legitimacy. They're more secretive and covert and deceptive, and those fall more under the realm of foreign interference.
So I guess the video I did a while ago on the fake YouTube accounts spreading misinformation about the Alberta separation, I guess that's more foreign interference, which is under the realm of like the RCMP, I guess. So I guess my question to the RCMP is, when are you guys gonna like do something about this? But let's hear more on what this actual foreign influence actually is.
So this registry about foreign influence is going to allow Canadians to see who is engaging in influence activities and what exactly those activities are. This is a public registry, so people will be able to access it. And in terms of the rules around who needs to register, the legislation does set out criteria, and if all of them are met, then that will trigger the requirement to register. So if someone enters into an arrangement with what's called a foreign principal, they may need to register. And a foreign principal could be a foreign government, some kind of foreign organization or political party. And if the goal of that arrangement and the work being done under that arrangement is to influence a government process here in Canada, like a piece of legislation or an election or a referendum, and if the influence activities involve communicating with an elected official or a government employee, or communicating with the public in Canada, or providing money or other items of value, then they may need to register. And communicating with an elected official could be sending an email or sending a letter or requesting a meeting or having a meeting.
Now, you can bet that those three idiots that I just shown on the screen right now, they probably had meetings together, or they had meetings with people in the United States, or in Pete Hoekstra's case, he had a barbecue with Canada's lowest of the lows. Now, I'm all for this new registry. I mean, this information should be available to all Canadians. But I have to question, is it really going to deter any of these people? My brain hopes it does, but my gut says probably not.
And communicating with the public could be an advocacy campaign or conducting media interviews. So those are sort of the general rules. There's more to it than that, but I'm laying out kind of the basics. If and when someone enters into this kind of arrangement, they then have 14 days to log on and register.
So the parameters around the registry, as you point out, laid out there. But what happens if someone doesn't register?
Well, there are fines for non-compliance, and those fines can range from as little as $250 all the way up to $1 million. So it's quite a range. The penalty imposed will depend on the seriousness of the violation. And in serious cases, there could be criminal charges, and the penalties for those could be a prison sentence of up to 5 years or even bigger fines up to $5 million.
I don't know about you, but I would love to see some of these people that are egging on the foreign influence and driving the wedge between Canada get some jail time. But one thing I see a little bit wrong with this is that you're expecting these people to register themselves and use the honor system to basically, properly track themselves. Well, those people have no honor. I think what the government should have is like a ratting out system where we, the Canadian citizens, can actually submit something and say, hey, this person was caught talking to so-and-so across the border, or this person here hired this person to do this. I think that would get a lot more traction. I don't know. That's just me. But then again, I'm not an expert in this.
So it will be up to this new commissioner who starts his job this week, that's Anton Bogman, to decide penalties for non-compliance. He's the former chief electoral officer of British Columbia. And he said in an interview with CBC News, you heard part of it there, that he'll decide on a case-by-case basis kind of what falls into foreign interference and what falls into foreign influence. Again, his mandate is around foreign influence activities. He said if any situations are deemed to be foreign interference, that would be passed over to Canada's national security agencies like the RCMP. That's outside of his mandate. He was explaining this in this interview. So again, really, his mandate more focused on foreign influence activities and making them more transparent and accessible to Canadians. Again, this registry, once it gets up and running, will be fully publicly accessible.
So again, I ask the question, where can we, as Canadian citizens, submit something if we see something? I think that would be more effective. But it's a start. I mean, I have to at least give that some credit. Because what we can confirm these days is that the neighbor to the south, they're no longer our friends. And there's going to be some shady stuff going on. And to be honest, it kind of sucks that we have to put a microscope under our next door neighbors and even some of our Canadian citizens. Because if we don't, what we have right now in Canada could be lost. So let me know your thoughts on this new Foreign Influence Registry in the comments below. Closing out this video, I would like to thank Candy for sending me this photo from Citadel Hill in Halifax, Nova Scotia. I was kind of curious to see what the Citadel Hill was, and I found this photo. And it looks like a great place to visit. Maybe one day I'll be able to head out to Halifax. But thanks again, Candy, for sending this over and sharing it with the community. Alright everyone, that's all I got for this video, and I do hope everybody got some value out of this one. And if you did, consider checking out my Substack page as well as my Buy Me a Coffee page. Oh, and don't forget to check out my follow-up Substack article. It should be in the pinned comments by the time you finish this video. Thanks everyone, I'll catch you in the next one.